The Honda Accord is part of a breed of mid-size sedans that seems to be fading into obscurity. And today we'll be finding out if the Honda Accord VTEC Turbo has what it takes to break through that trend. What's going on, guys? Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph, and today we'll be driving and reviewing the Honda Accord with a VTEC Turbo. Now, before we talk about this exterior, I gotta say, is there anything better than a white Honda? Amazing. You got this huge piano black front grille right here with honeycomb inserts, which could have looked better if this chrome strip was blacked out as well, like the US version. No biggie, easy to modify. One quirk that I find right here is this huge sensor with Honda Sensing badge. We'll talk about that later on. Also got this nice accent on this multi-reflector full LED headlamps with DRLs and fog lamps, which completes the overall executive look of the Honda Accord. A few details about the side profile that I like are those front wheel arches that are more pronounced and more muscular and give it an overall macho appeal. You even have 18-inch alloy wheels with 235/45 R18 tires that are really chunky. But one of the few features and quirks that I find on the Honda Accord right here is this cutout on the lower section that sharply cuts from the front end all the way to the rear of the Honda Accord. It also has a nice fastback design on the rear here and this interesting kink on the seat pillar, giving it a little bit more character on the side profile. Now let's follow this huge chrome pattern to the rear so that we can check out the rear section. Heading to the rear section of the Honda Accord is a design detail that I really loved from the 10th gen Honda Civic. These crab claw LED tail lamps. Now, it's a nice implementation in the Honda Accord. They're thinner, smaller, and more low-key. Speaking of low-key, where's the VTEC badge? This is a VTEC Turbo, but I don't see it anywhere. You can actually find it right up top. The trunk lid also has this nice feature that kind of looks like a ducktail spoiler, and I see a lot of guys who own this might add some sort of extension, but please, no, don't modify a Honda Accord. At the bottom part, you've got body color diffusers right here, as well as chrome tips for the dual exhaust. They're not actual exhaust. This part right here is actually underneath it, but you're going for the overall executive look. And this thing's nailing it hard. All right. The thing about executive sedans is that they definitely give you some great NVH levels, so we're safe from the outside world. All right, so inside the Honda Accord, it's definitely a Honda, guys. Everything seems to be driver-centric. Even the seats are slung quite low. These are power adjustable seats, so finding your proper and perfect driving position is easy. No problems. So you got leather wrapped steering wheel here with all the controls that you need for cruise control, your media, and of course, you got this huge touchscreen infotainment system with tactile controls for the volume and the tuning knob, as well as the AC knobs right here. Nice. So anyway, that has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay for all you smartphone integration fans out there. You also have this nice wood trim right here. You might think it's actual wood, but that's just a trim right there. It adds a little bit more class to the proceedings in the interior. You also have a screen up top next to the analog speedometer, which gives you all the information that you need about driving your car. You got your tachometer, your range and fuel, audio, your phone, as well as settings for Honda Sensing. Again, everything seems to be nice and tidy here. Everything is spacious, all right? So even whatever you need to drive, even if you're a larger car like myself, everything is nice. The seats even have lumbar support, which is great because I'm starting to get into the wrong side of 30, and I definitely need that right there. All right, so we got the transmission right here. If you look at the CR-V, which we are going to review in the future, that thing has one of those fancy schmancy button transmissions right there. It doesn't have this knob. So which do you prefer? This old classic braking knob or those buttons like in the Jetsons? Comment down below. All right, the best seat in the house for some people. It's awfully dark in here. That's because of these privacy blinds, or as I call them, peasant blinds. Keep the outside world where it belongs. All right, so at the back of the Honda Accord, it's awfully spacious. I mean, some guys say that, why buy the Honda Accord when you got the Honda Civic right there? But this is why you buy a Honda Accord. I see this being marketed towards guys who know they've made it, you know, doctors, lawyers, or masters of the economy, business, and all that. And yep, this is where they'll be spending most of their time with. You got an AC vent right there, 2 chargers, and of course, a nice center armrest with 2 cup holders. You also have this nice pass-through system if you need to put some stuff in the back. Keep this front place clean, no problems. Also got the wood trim right here, but one thing that I've noticed that although it has the same full grain leather material to them, it's got this weird ribs in the middle. It I can kind of feel it. It's definitely not ribbed for my pleasure, but what do you think? All right, let's drive this thing. All right, so behind the wheel of the Honda Accord. Well, first of all, I'd like to say that of all the midsize sedans out there, this is probably my favorite when it comes to seating position. Thanks to the power adjustable seats, it can actually get me quite low and do the classic Honda Broline, as you can see here. My picky passenger actually finds the rear amenities quite spacious, and they're actually cocooned right in. The window line is actually higher than what it usually is in regular sedans out there, so they're more tightly wound in, they're more cocooned inside the vehicle. It doesn't feel like you're driving on top of it or riding on top of it. It feels like you're riding inside of something that's keeping you safe from the outside world. We get the 1.5 liter turbocharged engine, and before you could say that it's the same engine found in the Civic RS, well, you're right. It's pretty much the same engine found in the Civic RS, but tuned to create more power and torque. Power figures are at 190 horsepower and 260 newton meters of torque, which is all right if you consider that this is being marketed as an executive sedan, but for driving impressions, it still pretty much feels like a Honda Civic RS, if you ask me, which isn't bad. Don't get me wrong, it's not that bad. So driving the front wheels is this continuously variable transmission, or CVT. Now the thing about this though, this midsize sedan has pedal shifters. Now the quirk with the pedal shifters right here is that the right side, or the upshift paddle, has a textured feel to it compared to the left side, so you won't forget. So for those guys who want to roll through your own gears, Honda's got you covered, especially in sport mode. Alright. One quirk that I find in the Honda Accord here is that braking feel isn't as abrupt as other midsize sedans out there. It's more rubbery, it's more spongy than I would have liked. It actually feels like my personal Honda Civic, which is a pretty old car in itself. But what I think that the designers and engineers might have this for is for the passengers, right? So if your braking feel is more subtle, it's more subdued this way, it's not as jarring as other cars out there, they won't really feel a lot of the braking feel in case you do want to hit the brakes like that. See, I'm hitting the brakes hard, but you feel the stopping power, but it's not as hard as you want it to be. Safety features, of course, that is a highlight of the Honda Accord. It's got Honda Sensing. Honda Sensing is the Honda suite of active and passive safety features. Keep your ride safe, keep you on your lane. And one of the few highlights of that I would like to highlight is the adaptive cruise control. So it's a step above your normal cruise control where it just maintains its speed. Now this one here, it actually uses a multitude of radars, some sort of sensors in front of it, and actually detects the cars in front of you. And if it detects that a car is slowing down, or if it detects some sort of car swerving through its lane, it alerts you right away and adjusts the speed accordingly, which is nice. Talk about fuel economy. Fuel economy at the moment, I've been driving this around the city, is at 7 kilometers per liter in the city. But once you hit the highway, you can expect 14 kilometers per liter, which is actually not that bad. If you remember that this is a mid-size sedan, it's in par with the types of the Toyota Camry, the Mazda 6. So the mid-size sedan segment is actually kind of thin right now. But if you want something with A little bit more extra power, more space than your regular Honda Civic, but it's still fuel efficient. And because of the Honda Sensing, extra safe as well. The Honda Accord might be your best bet. But pricing for the Honda Accord starts at 2,308,000 pesos, which gives you something to think about. With the current trend of midsize sedans waning away into obscurity, is 2,308,000 pesos worth it? For the extra space, for the extra bit of power and safety, plus the fact that you don't actually see a lot of Honda Accords in the road, they get a little bit of exclusivity to it. I think it is something to consider. Oh, fancy. All right, so in a world where there are just a limited number of executive sedans left, does the Honda Accord stack up well against them? Well, that's a tough question, but for a Honda fan, the answer is obvious. That's a yes. But what do you think? Drop us a comment in the comment section down below, and while you're at it, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification icon so you're alerted whenever you upload a new video. Once again, Roy Rob is here from Zigwheels.Ph, and I'll see you guys next time.